Did you miss us, Big Red? I'm sure you did. After a week off at the worst possible time, considering what had happened at Milton 2 weeks ago, we're going to go back behind the G. And grateful to be taking you with us. For those first-time listeners, or just those out there dying to hear me say my own name, I'm Katie B, joined as always by the co-host of this podcast for the Red Elephants, by the Red Elephants, GHS Athletic Director Adam Lindsey. I do not have a quippy intro for Adam this week. I'm a little dialed in. I'm a little dialed in. And why do you ask? Ask why.
Why?
Well, it's Region Championship week. And although Coach Niblett hasn't let me suit up yet, I know it's coming and I stay ready.
Yeah, I keep thinking he's going to let me call plays too.
Let's
We're
go.
kind of on the same level.
No. I don't want to call plays. I want to be in the play. Just let me hit somebody
maybe
once.
Maybe he'll let me call a play that you're in.
That'd be dangerous, man. You'll get me hurt. I don't want to be concussed. Coming up on this episode of Behind the G, as always, we'll let you know what our most recent alumni competing at the college level have been up to the last couple of weeks. And from the trunk, Brandon Eiler of the famed Gainesville City Schools Turf Crew is going to join the show to give us an insider's perspective on what it takes to get our venues prepared, especially for big games like the one coming up this week on Bobby Gruen Field. Now, speaking of that game and that reverent place, we'll check the vibes of our team with the program's head honcho, Josh Niblett. So, Adam, I mentioned earlier that fall break, and thus our break, couldn't have come at a worse time. 2 weeks ago, we sat here in this very room with Coach Niblett to do our thing, and the vibes were intense. That's saying a lot. The man lives intensely. But Milton was up next on the schedule. Now, looking back, I don't know that a greater example exists of attitude reflecting leadership than how our Red Elephants played that Friday night at the home of the two-time defending state champions.
Absolutely. I mean, they. I always have the. I guess it's the luxury of. I hang out with the team, especially in away games. We've talked about this at away games. Much less responsibility, but I always try to take the opportunity when we're at away game to be in the locker room. Checking the temperature of our kids, not physical temperature, but
that'd be awkward.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Kareem's at 98.5. We're good.
Yeah, we can play now. I really enjoyed that game at Milton, being in the locker room, seeing how focused our kids were, how ready they were, and being a part of the pre-game speeches that our coach gives, and walking out with the team as soon as they walk out. And again, not part of this conversation, but I'm very disappointed with, I'll say it this way, I was very pleased with how our kids handled the walk, because we've talked about the walk from locker room to the field. Yeah. Milton's is not a short one. Right. Which
they can get dicey. Fans are rude.
Well, and I guess it's probably, call it home field advantage for Milton. The visiting team has to walk out of there. It's a gym locker room out of the side of the building, and you walk up the hill and down around the backside, which walks right in front of their locker room. Well, as soon as almost like it's choreographed, right? As soon as we start walking by, the entire Milton team comes out to the sidewalk, and they had a lot to say. I'm sure. Not things that I can really repeat on here. But I was very disappointed in them, for them, that's how they treat opponents. Right. And the things that they said to our kids. But our kids handled it. They didn't notice it. They didn't react. Right. They didn't chirp back. They didn't say anything. They went down to the field and handled business. Exactly. And maybe that's why Milton talks, is because they're not capable of it this year. Correct, yeah. Against us. Yeah. And so, but, very pleased going into that game. We came out, we did everything we had to do. And, being honest, you and I have had this conversation, that game could have been 48-6. I mean, so, yeah, it could have been. And I said this to folks who asked about the game afterwards. And there were a lot of them. There was a whole lot of interest. There was a big lack of interest in actually going to Milton on a Friday. Yeah. But there was a whole lot of interest in the game. And when they asked me about it, it seems like it was a close one. I was like, but it really wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't until the fourth quarter. And then our defense bent and didn't break. And but it was the final. We say all the time the final score was not
the final score wasn't indicative of how close the game was. You hear that all the time, right?
Yeah.
This final score wasn't indicative of how not close the game was.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head when you say focus. And we talk about this with Coach Niblett coming up on the weekly vibe check. But I mentioned there was this feeling, this indescribable feeling that I had. And I'm not in a uniform. I'm not on the sidelines coaching, but that I had with our team the week leading up to Milton. And, it's this feeling that I've had as an athlete, or I had as an athlete growing up. But you don't know when it's going to come about, but you know when it hits you. It's a very organic thing. You're not going to lose.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose.
Yeah.
And I just knew we weren't. I didn't know how we were going to win, but I knew we weren't going to lose. And I don't mean how we were going to win as in how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know. Nigel running for, what was it, 163-3?
Yeah.
Kareem forcing nothing.
Well, one of the things that that has been I think wonderful about our team this year is absolutely the run game.
Yes.
And I think when a team prepares for us, or a fan does research on us, whatever, I think the first thing that probably jumps out to you is that we've got a multi-star. I don't know how many stars he has. Kareem Hewley, as our quarterback.
I think he's up to 4 or 5.
I wanted to say 4, but I didn't want to.
I don't pay attention to that star stuff.
I didn't want to create comments in the box. Right. But committed to Clemson, who threw for a buttload of yards last year.
Sure.
And I would imagine as a defense coordinator, you see that and you're like, we've got to stop that. And we've been able to lean on the run game. Mm-hmm. I mean, between Nigel and PJ and our offensive line, and Kareem whenever he's had to,
yeah,
we have really, really, really done well in the run game, which again, in the end, opens up the passing game. And my point in this is, Kareem isn't having the yardage that maybe he's had in the past years, and it's just because our run game is doing so well that we're not having to.
Right.
And it's going to come a time, and we'll take advantage of it. And I don't worry about that. But I've just been so pleased with how our run game has developed throughout the season. And
I'm pleased again, and I always go back to the way that I see our people interact with our people. That there's no ego.
Yes.
Between PJ and Nigel.
Amazing.
They are literally for each other.
They are each other's biggest fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we talk about it all the time. One of them scores a touchdown, the other one's the first one to greet them when they're coming off. And I think it's cool from our side of it, a fan side of it. Nigel comes out, PJ goes in, nobody's like, oh crap. They can both
Here
break
comes
it.
the coach's kid.
They can both break one at any time, and they've shown it.
Yeah.
They've shown it. And one may have Nigel may have like the big runs, the big breaks, but PJ's coming in getting what we need.
Right.
And I think
4th and 2, 3rd and
Yeah. And I think it was in the Milton game, everything runs together for me, that PJ had that screen that went for 40 yards for a touchdown.
I remember that well.
Which was huge.
Right.
And again, like you expect that out of Nigel, but for PJ to come in and do that, like just shows what a great player he's going to be, and a sophomore.
Yeah.
A sophomore.
Right. Well, and Nigel's a junior.
Yeah.
Like the hair standing up on my arms as we talk about it.
You think about it. Next year, you got Kareem, you got Nigel, right. You got PJ. The vast majority of our receivers will all be back next year. I mean, like, how good is this offense going to be even next year?
Yeah, when PJ went for the screen run, and here's the thing about PJ Lewis running, and if you've heard his name on the PA, it's Dwight Lewis, but he's PJ. If the thing about PJ, he's going to break several tackles.
Yes.
He's not down on the first touch, and so he gets the screen pass. He starts upfield. He breaks a tackle, and then when he's spun out of the second tackle, I don't know if any of y'all were watching on GPB, but the semi-large woman on the sideline in the white hoodie pointing to the end zone was me, because as soon as he spun out of that,
tell him which way to go.
As soon as he spun out of that second tackle, listen, I was fired up. And you talk about meeting somebody when they came off the field. I'm there in the huddle with the guys just slamming his helmet, and he looks at me. He's like, "I don't know you. Who is this lady?" But anyway, that was a great moment, and what a great win for our guys, our program, for Coach Niblett. And that's kind of what I want to discuss next. Like 2 weeks ago, he talked earnestly about this, proverbial monkey on his back. I think it has been placed by others. I think it's being held up there by others, and it's unfounded, in my opinion, this narrative about the quote-unquote big one, but that's neither here nor there. He talked about sort of the heaviness, without using that word, of, having not won a big one, despite... And when I say that, a state championship game or a game against a highly ranked opponent, I fight that tooth and nail because I go back to 2022 and I think about Houston County and I think about Roswell and I think about the 50 seconds that without it we do beat Langston Hughes, a team that, by the way, was going to beat us by 40. I don't know if y'all heard that. Or then the next year, because of injuries, we fall in the quarterfinals. It is what it is. And last year's team is an aside. Let me be very honest about that. Last year's team is an anomaly in a Josh Niblett run program. But this idea that he hasn't won the big one. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I understand it. I mean, I think from the 30,000 foot view, somebody who's not here every day,
right?
You think we hired this nationally renowned coach. We're winning state championships every year.
Yeah,
we played
because he did in Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, he won a ton of games, but it's incredibly hard to win a state title
in Georgia.
Yeah, and and I think you have to first remember what year one looked like, and even go back to the year prior.
Right.
We 2-8 that year.
Yeah.
And then to turn that around and go 10-0, 14-1, like we won some big games, and it was different. It was different than this year, but beating North Forsyth was a big game. Going 10-0, we had to win some big games. Hosting Houston County, the game at Roswell, which we had to fight tooth and nail to win that game, was an incredibly big game.
Game one of that season when we went to Marist, nobody thought.
Yeah,
nobody thought.
I didn't.
I mean, and we come out in the first quarter, put up 21 points.
Yes, that's a game where I remember turning to Dr. Williams and saying, like, "Oh my God, we may have a good team here." We didn't know.
Right.
We didn't know. Even going back to the spring scrimmage that year at South Gwinnett, we did some good things. We knew that we had some good players, that were waiting for their time to really shine, and they did some good things, but. You're right. The Marist game is a great one because it was like because we'd played Marist before and didn't go well.
It hadn't gone well against Marist several times for Gainesville.
So
we're notoriously the football program that comes in second.
Yeah, and I think that when people talk about the big game, their bar has changed. It's moved. Yeah, which is great. We want the bar to continually be raised for us, and you mentioned last year. I mean, as to where like. In Coach Niblett's year one, I felt like everything went our way. Last year, I felt like everything that could have gone wrong did.
And you combine that with listen. This is no offense personally to any of the young men in the position I'm about to mention on the team, but there was a severe lack of leadership. In the locker room, in the huddles. There was a lack of leadership. So you combine
that with untimely injuries.
Correct.
I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, you go back to
Caden was out, Xavier was out.
You go to year two, we're at Woodward, handily beating the crap out of Woodward.
Right.
Baxter goes down, Gavin goes down, and I remember my wife called me at halftime and was like, "Babe, like we're in trouble." I was like, "No, we're not.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Like we are totally fine."
Right.
Our defense has been playing great. Our offense, all they have to do is get a couple of first downs. We'll run the clock out, and then
we couldn't get a first down.
We couldn't get a first down. Yep. I mean, again, like you don't have those two injuries right there. We're headed to the state champ. I mean, we're going to do the things that we needed to do. Last year, untimely injuries. Starting from the Milton game all the way through. I mean, we were all very going to the Sequoia game. Sequoia is very good. We're down a bunch of players. And again, we think, we feel like, we're Gainesville, like we can figure a way to pull it off. And, we didn't.
Right.
Sequoia they manhandled us. And the injuries and the lack of depth showed in that game, which, as we've talked about, is all the motivation that we needed for this year.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think programs need to have years like that.
Absolutely.
Interspersed.
Well, I think when you go back and, we always talk about fighting complacency.
Yeah.
And, Coach and I have this conversation all the time about the reason we think a lot of part of that reason that first year was so good is because it was like the perfect timing. We had a new coach. We moved into brand new facilities. We had kids that were super appreciative of everything that they got, everything that they earned.
And they were hungry to win for Gainesville.
They were hungry.
Yep.
They were so hungry. Well, you get into year two, and again, I put that on the injuries. Because I think if we don't have those injuries, we're playing for a state title that year. And you get into year three, and it's like, well, at that point, we've got kids, and this is not just a football thing, it's across our athletic department, that have like, what we have here, what we offer here, what we do for our kids here, it's normal at that point.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And for us, it's always how do we get our kids to be appreciative, to understand that what we do here is not normal?
How do you
That's
fight
why you're here.
How do you fight the idea that you're born on third and think you hit a triple? And I feel like last year was that.
Yeah.
It was a team, and aren't we grateful they were in this position? But a team that had the program had earned a lot of recognition because of a lot of hard work. And some great leadership and some great players and done great things. And then that team last year just sort of hung their hat on that.
Well, and there are times where in the past, Gainesville has shown up to a game and the G on the side of the helmet won the game.
Oh, my gosh, a lot of times.
Before.
Oh, my gosh,
and,
yes.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay? But when your players start believing that's going to happen before they get off the bus, that's where you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, and the difference is and listen, I was part of teams and part of an athletic culture here at Gainesville High School where that was the norm. Not in football, but that was the norm in every other sport.
Yeah.
Showing up was half the battle.
Yep.
And what I mean is we'd walk into other teams' gyms, they'd smell us coming, and we had a 20-point lead.
Yeah.
That was the culture of our athletic program back then. Again, not football, but everybody else. And the difference, though, was that we enjoyed that feeling so much that we did everything we could to maintain it.
Yes.
Which means that complacency never existed.
Exactly.
Because that feeling of, and I say it all the time, that, the smell blood kill that you want in your athletes, and excuse me for my grotesque description of that, but that killer instinct you want in your athletes, even those people I played sports with or that were on teams at Gainesville that had no college ambitions.
Yeah.
That they were out there to represent Big Red. They had that mentality because they still wanted to put fear into people that gave us a 20-point lead when we walked into a gym, when we walked onto a field, when, we got up to bat, whatever the case was. So the complacency was never there. And if you can get rid of that and just maintain that culture,
correct,
where it's, oh, no. We want everyone to fear us.
Absolutely. And I think that's why last year had to happen.
Right.
And it has set us up for this year. And that's why, our kids have done everything that they have to do. They put themselves in this place. Every goal that they've set them for themselves is clearly within view. And that's why, that's what makes this Friday night such a big game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get to that coming up. But I want to ask one more thing.
Okay.
I want to ask one more thing about the Milton game in particular, because people put a lot of weight onto that game. And I get it, but also don't get it. And I was asked in the aftermath, and this is literal. I'm not exaggerating here. I was asked in the aftermath of the game, if that win, that regular season win, was validating for you and Dr. Jeremy Williams in the hiring of Coach Josh Niblett. I just want you to comment on that. If that win, and how it was put was the win at Milton was the validation they needed, wasn't it? That regular season win.
I'd hate to put all that on on that.
Were you not validated in y'all's decision before a regular season win at Milton?
Well, I mean, I think this, and I think that may validate it for other people.
Yeah.
I think the validation comes in what we see in this building every day.
100%.
I think the validation comes
Yep.
with how our kids handle themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back to, and I don't want to get too deep into this one, but I go back to my first couple of years here, when every Friday it was like, what's going to go wrong today?
Yeah, who are we going to have to suspend tonight? Yep.
What is going to happen today to derail anything that we're doing?
Yep.
Haven't had that thought in 4 years,
No.
just being honest. But, I mean, I can't express enough to people, because not everybody gets to see the things that we see on a daily basis. And again, we're solely talking about football. But when you go upstairs, and people think this is a joke and that we're exaggerating. If you walk upstairs at 3:20, 3:30, pick an afternoon, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Kids have finished class, they've gone to their locker, and they're grabbing their bag, they're leaving for the day. And the stream of kids that walk past Coach Niblett's office and say, "Love you, Coach. See you tomorrow."
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, he responds, "Love you too." Mm-hmm. That's abnormal.
Yeah.
That's the validation.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Our kids, and again, this is to me a little bit of a crazy story. When Coach Niblett first got here, and we start talking, all of our planning stuff, and he's like, "Coach, I want to practice in the morning." And I said, "That sounds awesome. I want it to work for you. I just don't feel like that's going to work here for us." And his response was, "It's going to work. It's going to work.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have any choice. It's going to work." And our kids would fight you if you said you had to move practice to the afternoons now.
Yeah.
Our kids are, he hates using the word buy-in. Our kids have trusted into the process. They believe in everything that's going on. They will follow whatever is put in front of them. That's the validation.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, that is literally a perfect response.
We get to prove it on Friday nights.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, does it feel good for the win? Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely. But no, that's not the validation. It's the proof in the pudding.
I love that. That is such a great response. And I wish that's the way that I would have responded. Instead, I just scoffed and said, "That's the dumbest question anybody's ever asked me." Anyway, okay, so coming up this week, big one. Roswell coming to Bobby Gruen Field at City Park. Region 7 5A title on the line. Third, if we win, third one we will have won in Josh Niblett's 4 years here. It's also Letterman jacket night. And we are such a tradition-rich school system, and we want our community in the worst way to come to Bobby Gruen Field to cheer on these boys, to support these boys who represent the school you care about so well. And if you haven't seen it in action, you're really doing yourself a disservice. But they represent the school that you love, the athletic program that you love so well. So it's Letterman jacket night. I'm going to be wearing mine. I hope everybody else will come out in theirs. We'd like to have all generations represented. We know it can't happen because we've been around a really, really long time, but we'd love to have all generations represented. We'd love it if you take a picture of yourself at Bobby Gruen in your Letterman jacket, shoot it to us on social media in our DMs at Go Red Elephants. Those are wide open to y'all. Or of course you can email me or Adam and we'll share it on our social media for you. But we really want this to be something that takes off. It's the first Letterman jacket night we've had since 2022. And that one was pretty special as well. But I want to ask you, Adam, this. Why is it important for you to do a Letterman jacket night here at Gainesville?
I just want to say, first and foremost, I love Letter Jacket Night. I love that our community uses that opportunity to show up and show out in their letter jacket. I remember us having that conversation after the last one.
Yeah.
But it's
because there were some old heads there. There were some old heads.
There were, and there was the different styles.
Yeah.
And, is always kind of cool to see. But I guess part of it for me is letter jackets here. When I first got here, I don't want to say it's not a thing, but they not a lot of students bought them.
That pride didn't exist, Adam. The pride wasn't here at that particular moment.
Sure, and I do think that plays a part of it, but it's also I think it's another expense.
True, that too.
And I think the I don't know, the coolness factor of having a letter jacket. I mean, I remember in high school I couldn't wait to get one, and I couldn't. When I got one, I was never
ninth
not gonna
grade.
wear it.
The way that my friends made fun of me, my birthday, 9th grade year, I got my Letterman jacket. I'd lettered in 2 sports at that point. Soccer was still to come, and I wore that thing. I wore it out. We couldn't wait to get our Letterman jackets.
And one of the things, I think we just do things differently here.
Right.
But one of the things that we started here, I think we're in year like 5 or 6, I can't remember. For athletes that have earned 2 letters in the same sport, the athletic department buys their letter jacket for them. So I wanted to make sure that cost didn't become an issue for our kids.
Right.
So the athletic department probably purchases 100 and 120 letter jackets every year, and that easily removing that excuse. We see letter jackets. I love seeing letter jackets in the hallway,
and we do
because that brings back that's a part of bringing back that pride.
Yeah, and listen, the way that this place is transitioned, and I don't just mean superficially in the way that we look. I mean the way that the feel of this place has transitioned over the course of the last 8 years. Mm-hmm. Again, we went from don't want to wear jerseys on game day, don't want to wear Letterman jackets, don't want to wear Gainesville. These kids didn't want anyone to know they played a sport for Gainesville. That's where we were, folks. That's where we were.
You're 100% right.
And if you think I'm wrong, understand that's why I wanted to walk into the fire.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to walk into the fire, was to at least be part of bringing some of what we all felt being students and student athletes at Gainesville High School back. That's how bad it was. And now you can't. Yeah. You can't. Gainesville gears all over the.
Absolutely.
You can't keep them out of the stuff.
Well, and I love it now. And I get a letter jacket shipment come in, and I send out a notification, hey, come pick up your letter jacket, and athletes will walk in my office like, hey, I just ordered my letter jacket last week. Is it here yet? And I'm like, baby girl, it takes a minute. It takes a minute to make those. Sorry, you just ordered yours on Tuesday. It's Thursday.
Yeah, but you love that excitement.
But hey, yes. I love when the kids, because all the kids have to come by my office and pick them up. I love that. Yeah. I love it, and they're so excited about it, and then all of a sudden they break it out, and it's they can't wait to wear it at that point.
And their friends are looking at them and going, "Oh man, that looks like." Yep. The vibe, again, we say vibes a lot here, but the change is marvelous, and yeah, it's just
But going back to letter jacket night, I think one of the cool things is. We've always talked about what an incredible community Gainesville is and has and supportive. But when we look up in the stands on a Friday night, you don't always know who was an athlete.
Correct. Or who even really went to Gainesville, or you don't know. You don't know.
You make assumptions. Right. But on letter jacket night, you got proof. Yeah. You got proof. And everybody gets to see, okay, that person played this, that person, whatever. Right. And it's just, again, that is part of what makes Gainesville an incredible community to be a part of.
Legacy runs deep around here, folks. Show up, show out in your letter jackets on Friday night. And if you don't want to wear the letter jacket, it's going to be cold, so that would keep you warm. If you don't want to wear the leather jacket, still show up and show out. Region Championship happening this Friday night. All right, let's move on quickly before we get to our guest. And again, coming up, Brandon Eiler with the Gainesville Turf Team and our vibe check with Coach Niblett. So softball wrapped up their season the last 2 weeks. Volleyball wrapped up their season the last 2 weeks. Softball, the best season they've had since 2015 when they won 11 games. Volleyball makes it to the state playoffs with a huge win over Roswell. They get put out in the first round, but what Christina LeCurve is building here is going to be special. Yet another thing you're going to want to be a part of in the coming years. Isabel Lee, cross country, is moving into their sectional season. They're moving towards their state championships. Isabel Lee, our freshman, in all 10 races this year, has finished in the top 10. Folks, that's remarkable. I don't know if you remember a name from around here, Ashley Thompson. Yep. As a freshman, Isabel Lee is running faster times than Ashley Thompson a state championship distance runner did her senior year. This is a special athlete to keep up with throughout her tenure as a Gainesville High School Red Elephant. And speaking of folks like Ashley Thompson and our alumni, we, over the course of the last 2 weeks, we had a lot compete at college and do big things. So from the trunk, what you got?
All right, so shorter list this week because I felt like last time's was really long. But a couple of really cool things from this last week. So Gavin Hall at Furman is our typical check-in with him. They played Wofford, and in that win, he had 17 rushes for 16 yards. Not 16 yards. That would not be. I wouldn't.
That wouldn't be great. We wouldn't mention that.
He had 17,
so he was running backwards, is what you're saying.
He had 17 rushes for 61 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. The interesting part of it is that he had 14 receiving catches for 62 yards and 1 kickoff return for 20 yards. So a great day for Gavin Hall and Furman. Darius Cannon, they played South Dakota State, and he had 5 catches for 100 yards and a 1 touchdown receiving. And a
Sports Center top play.
Yes, which was incredible.
So his quarterback that day threw 4 interceptions. And had it not been for an incredible play by Darius Cannon, it would have been 5.
It would have been 5. That's DJ Lagway stuff right there. But how cool on Sunday afternoon to be watching college football finals top plays from Saturday and to see a red elephant.
Yeah.
How cool is that? That doesn't happen every day. So in our T-Lander watch, Tennessee played Alabama in their loss, but T-Lander had 6 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and what I've now decided to name the Red Elephant matchup instead of its.
That's so boring.
Well, come up with a better one.
All right.
That's better than the last one. So we had Jeremiah Ware, who's at Georgia Southern, and Shane Smith at Southern Miss played each other, and Southern Miss ended up winning 38-35. Neither one of the guys played, but they took a great picture together. So at least they got to hang out a little bit.
Okay.
Hey, look, they're both freshmen. It's hard. It's hard for a freshman receiver to get on the field in Division I
Not
football.
hard for them to get a picture, but hard for them to get.
No. But hey, it's all about that pick. They probably did a TikTok at midfield.
They did. I'm sure. Maybe in the middle of the game. Maybe that's why they're not playing.
Could be. In our cross country this week, catching up with Chris Lee, who's also a freshman. He's at Young Harris. They competed in a cross country meet where there were 20 teams there, and his team from Young Harris ended up finishing second. Chris ended up finishing personally 56 out of 112 with a time of 29:28.
Ain't bad for a freshman, though.
No. So again, very cool to catch up with some of our alumni. Again, shorter list this week. Even though it was 2 weeks of information, I could have done a whole lot more work.
You really could.
Well, I just
you shorted us, Adam.
Put it on the list.
Yeah. Oh, so. I will. I most definitely will. Coming up, folks, great show for you. I hope you stick around for every single bit of it. Up next, Brandon Eiler going to talk about what it takes, and it takes a lot. I think you're going to be floored by this. What it takes to get our venues ready for game day, most specifically for the big games like the one we've got coming up Friday night on Bobby Gruen Field when Roswell comes to town for the Region 7 5A Championship. And speaking of that game, weekly vibes with Coach Niblett. All that to come, folks. This is Behind the G. The continued success of Red Elephant Athletics is due in large part to the support given by our Gainesville community through their membership to the Gainesville Athletic Club. The GAC serves all of our GHS programs with funds providing the necessary equipment and gear, among other things, that ensure our student athletes continue receiving a Division I experience in high school. Learn more and become a GAC member today by visiting GoRedElephants.com. We are unique in a number of ways, and when I say we, I don't mean myself and Adam, although we are. I mean the Red Elephants. Now, mascot aside, if you look at who we've been and are, the things we have, what we've done, what we do, few can match us. One of the more special items on the list of how we're different, how we're special, is that our football stadium, beautiful Bobby Gruen Field at City Park, y'all are familiar with it, is in the middle of our city. A prime location within Gainesville, on a major thoroughfare, built into the city literally, serving as a perfect metaphor for its school's relationship to the community it serves. Built in so much so that the field is in perfect view from the street. Before we get to our next guest here on Behind the G, I want the Red Elephants out there listening to go with me somewhere. It's a fall morning, a Friday. You're excited to go to work because you know when the day ends, the Red Elephants play football. The air's crisp, the sun rising, the Auburn Rays hitting all the right places in all the right ways. You're driving to Longstreet Cafe for a biscuit, headed down Green Street. You get on 129, ready to split the Dairy Queen and former Green Street pool, and you look to your right. The dew is rising off Bobby Gruen Field. Left overnight, it's rising as the day's glow brings warmth. The green hue underneath the faint white of the outgoing condensation is mesmerizing, but not as much as the G at midfield. Stoic in its constant presence, the end zones painted with a battle cry unheard anywhere else on earth. Gainesville Red Elephants. I get chills thinking about it, and despite being in this community for 45 years, I still slow down and get a good look on those Friday mornings described. Joining Behind the G now is Brandon Eiler, a lead member of the Red Elephant Turf Team, the gentleman responsible for providing us a view like any other. Brandon, welcome into the show. How you doing, man?
Good, you?
I'm doing all right. Did I describe that okay?
Perfect.
Perfect. It was a perfect description.
That was amazing.
I appreciate that. Listen, I've had that view a lot in my life.
And I wish it was Friday.
For
many reasons.
Me too. Same.
Ready there. So, Brandon, excited about having you on today. Thank you. I know there's a field somewhere that's not being taken care of right now because you're taking this time with us. So, appreciate you taking that time. And I know, like, when we put this out that we were having you on today, I'm sure a lot of people were like, "Who's that guy?"
Right.
But you're the guy that everybody recognizes your work. They may not know you, but they know your work. So first of all, if you wouldn't mind, just take a second, introduce you, and you tell us what your official title is, because we kind of have to make things up, and tell us what all your job encompasses.
Yeah, my name's Brandon Eiler. Obviously, athletic fields manager is the title.
I was going to give you like a director title.
It might be kind of made up, but that's what I mean.
Hey, it's a good made up title, my guy. That's good.
I maintenance all the grounds, Ivy, practice fields, City Park, obviously, softball field. It comes out to like 20 acres we maintain. That's awesome. My guys, TJ, Nico, and KJ. Can't do anything without them.
Yeah.
Everybody knows KJ, so that's basically what we do Fridays. Big day, so we're excited. We started preparing for Friday last week, so we're ready.
Well, that's what I want to get into first. I want you, because I think, people show up on Friday or they drive by and they see the final product, but they don't really understand. And if you don't do it, you don't understand. So having had, you don't know this, or most people know this, before I came here, I took care of all the fields at Jackson County. So, and then when I came here, they said, no more, you can't do that. So I get
don't touch our turf.
I get jealous of the time that you get on the mower. But anyway, getting back to it, tell us what, and I know, I want you to tell us what a typical week looks like preparing for a Friday night. But I know it just doesn't start on Monday morning. So kind of give us an idea of what that looks like for you guys.
So the week would start on a Saturday when I come in to clean up from the week prior. Mm-hmm. We get the inmates in there. They take care of the trash pickup. I mow the field, fill divots. If it's a game, we mow game day pattern. If it's not a game the next week, we switch pattern. And then Monday we come in. We'll mow the other fields so they don't get too far behind with rye, and they take off. And then we clean bathrooms, locker rooms. We scrub them down, stock everything, get it ready for all the fans. And then we'll start mowing. Typically Tuesdays just to tidy up, just to make sure we're ready to roll. And then I'll come in Wednesday at 6 a.m. I'll do a game day mow in the morning, and then we start painting. Takes us 8 hours all day Wednesday. We might work a little late on Wednesdays just to make sure if we can get ahead for Thursday. If there's a game on Thursday, to make sure we're ahead. Thursday, I'll come in, we'll finish painting, and then about 3 o'clock on the dot, so I'll spray a dew manager on there for rye season because it gets slick out there. I mean, we found a new chemical. The guy I use for our chemicals, he found me something. Alabama uses it on their field. We spray it on Thursday, that way Friday come in on game night. You'll see the field. I'll spray the field only. The sidelines will be wet, but the field will be completely dry.
That's crazy.
Did I just hear that correctly, that over the course of 4 days, y'all mow 3 times?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and listen, I am ignorant to all things landscape. I could have a house plant, I'd kill it. Like, I don't really. How does grass grow to the point where you can mow it? Does that make sense? Like, what is... You say mow and I think cut. There's nothing to cut.
Oh no, it's cutting. I just cut it. I cut it yesterday, and I just cut it before I came here, and it cut off.
So you're looking for like a flat sheath.
Yeah. So one of the cool things about grass, and I'm the novice. Brandon's the expert on this. You can teach grass to not grow up, to grow out. And the more you cut it, and that's why it gets cut every other day, is it teaches it to not necessarily grow up, to grow out and help spread.
On Bermuda, yeah.
Yeah.
So the more you cut it, Bermuda, it'll teach it to grow out.
Yeah.
And then rye is not really like that. I mean, it's because it's a cool season grass, and it doesn't come back every year. So we're just cutting it really. Rye, we're really just cutting. It'll cut, but we're also cutting to put the stripes in, the game day pattern.
Okay, so then that was going to be my next question. Is you mentioned if we're mowing for game day, it's different than just mowing for maintenance. So what does that look like? You're on the mower. What does it look? How does it feel to go? You're mowing for game day versus just I'm mowing.
Oh, I love it. Game day mow is the best mow ever. It's exciting. It's exciting because we know we're coming into Friday with a football game.
Yeah,
it's exciting. The pattern's different. If we're not mowing game day, we'll do like a basket weave. So one day we're long ways, next day we're short ways.
Okay.
So it puts that basket squares in there all the way across.
And that's another thing about cutting the grass is you always cut it a different way every time you cut it. Like we're at home, you may always go crossways or whatever. You got to change it every time you cut it, and that's again goes back to promoting the growth.
And now we want to get into at some point in our conversation here what it looks like to maintain our fields as a whole in the off season. But want to stick it with City Park. Obviously, we got a big game coming up this Friday, region championship game. You guys do such a great job of making sure that the field is reflective of the school it represents. With the G in the middle, or even if it's a pink out night and you've got the ribbons, and what goes into deciding what gets painted and what is that process like? Y'all aren't artists. I mean, so how do you do it so well? We'll base it off themes. So we like to communicate with what he has going on in games, like a blackout, white out, pink out, and then we like to base it off what uniforms the players are wearing. Okay.
That's the biggest thing. And then we obviously do pink out for October. We'll throw a little pink in there. We do ribbons for
military
appreciation. And then the border, so we'll do the 6 foot all the way around. Mm-hmm. If we do a red end zone, we'll do a white or a black. Now, I did try black this season. I didn't really like it. I wasn't a big fan of it. But we just try to base it off the uniforms they're wearing. It just makes it match.
So do y'all have again, ignorant, do y'all have like a stencil that you put? Okay.
Yeah, so we
describe the actual painting process, end zones, the big G in the middle. Or y'all had the athletic elephant at one point, yeah.
Yeah, we just switched the midfield to the kind of the LSU.
Yeah.
So end zones, it's a stencil that's 40 feet by 100 feet, and it's a one piece. Wow. It is heavy.
I was gonna say that's gotta be heavy. Yeah. That's a polymer plastic?
Yeah, it's like a tarp. It's basically a tarp with just lines in it. So like when you paint it, you just see dots everywhere. So if you're new, it's like, man, it looks like Chinese.
Right.
And I'm like, no, it's easy. Let me get in there and get it.
Then you got to go back and play connect the dots.
You got to connect the dots, yeah. And then the tarps are so old, they've kind of stretched. So our tops and bottoms, we run a string line so everything's square and straight. Because if not, it looks like a wave.
So y'all don't just go in there and freehand? I think what would be fun for a game is if we just let Brandon, we're like, okay, here's the paint you use. Freehand it, no stencil.
Figure it out.
Let's see what happens.
But honestly, I'd be willing to bet he could probably do an incredible job at it. Just when you've done it long enough. Yeah. When I was at Jackson County, we had this guy. We'd come in and he would come in and paint our end zones every once in a while, and he literally freehanded the entire thing. It was the most amazing thing to watch. It's incredible. When you do that every day.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Yep. So Brandon, getting a little bit past just game week. City Park goes through seasons. You've mentioned, we transition from Bermuda to Rye. We get into soccer season. What is generically, what does it look like for a full season or full year at City Park, specifically as far as, the maintenance there?
That's crazy. Let's just start at the beginning of the year, January. We'll come in after break. It's usually soccer season's about to kick off. Mm-hmm. So we'll lay out the fields. We've got City Park, and then we'll have our middle school fields we lay out for. Yep. Come in, lay out soccer, which is it's easy compared to laying out lacrosse.
A whole lot less love.
Lacrosse is it's all in meters, so you have to like change it all to feet. There's arcs. And
There's a
crazy.
calculator involved.
So
somewhere.
you're saying you're not happy lacrosse is coming back to City Park? Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that.
We can go on. We'll go on.
I'm not gonna say that. I like lacrosse. It's fun to watch. They're just rough in the goalie box the goalie box area. They're really rough. So we have to resod them like every other game because they'll wear it out pretty quick. So then we'll go January. February's the same. March is the same. April, we're getting close to graduation, and then we're also getting in that transition period where April, a week and a half before graduation, I spray the rye out. It kills it. The rye will be dead on that 14th day. So I spray it to a certain
That sounds
date.
biblical.
Yeah.
Okay. Just letting you know. That sounds like a prophecy laid forth by the guy on the mountain.
To the 14th day, it will be dead. You'll come in that next day after graduation on a Saturday, and it will be brown. The field
Oh, so
will be brown.
y'all time that out.
Have to. Yeah.
I just thought it was all those people. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Killing it.
No. It's just if we spray it a day early, it would be brown on the day of graduation.
Yep.
Let's not do that.
No,
but also kind of do it.
We have tried to push it, David Presnell and I. We have tried to push it a couple of times, and it gets a little close. And
Yeah.
You lose some sleep at night thinking, man, if that's brown, we're going to be in trouble.
The field dies as the graduating.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, obviously, graduation comes in May, and we're transitioning. Bermuda's starting to take off. We're pushing it really hard to get it to grow in. We'll resod our sidelines and midfield every year. And the corners, because they get beat up the most.
Yeah.
Obviously, the sidelines they're horrible.
Yeah.
Everybody sees that. And then growing, we'll push it really hard. We have a granular that we throw down that pushes it really hard, Turf Rail. A lot of nitrogen in there to help green it up and push it. That takes. I'll show you. I could show you some pictures. It's wild. The difference between 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. And then we'll go into football usually July. Well, we have a spring in there, but sometimes into July. We like to be grown in by July 4th is what our typical date is. And then around July, right after July 4th, we'll come back, field goal posts, we'll paint them, put them up. Those are fun. We'll get tarps out, power wash the tarps, get them ready. And then end of July is typically the first game, give or take the schedule. And then we kick off football season.
So it starts all over again, the cycle. So something interesting that we have dealt with, and I say interesting with a bit of an eye roll, because it was actually a huge pain in the tush. But for those of us who had to be there on a Friday night, buckets of rain at game time.
This again.
Buckets of rain at game time. And almost as though a magician is standing there wanding the water away. Bobby Gruen Field will be ankle deep, and then 5 minutes later, there's not one single sign of water anywhere on it. How in the world do you guys Harry Potter that up?
I live on the weather app, so I'm always watching always watching. So if I see, so we always have a 10-day weather. If I see rain that next week, even a 10% chance, I spray a chemical on it that if water hits it, it absorbs it deep down.
I mean,
There's a chemical for that.
There's a chemical for that.
Chemical for everything.
There is a chemical for everything. I wish I was on one right now. But no, so quite literally, you have to plan that far. So it has nothing to do with necessarily the draining of the or the drainage around the field or however you put that. You're looking far out, and you have to do something to make the
drainage always helps. It always helps. But
can you talk about that real quick, like exactly like what the drainage looks like underneath the grass?
So it's a herringbone pattern of tubes that tie into drainage. It's very weird. And then we obviously have a 3-inch base of sand and then 12 inches of rock underneath it, 57s, which allows the water to drain through. And then our pipes are perforated, so they got holes in them too, so when water goes, they take off. And then it's supposed to run off the field. Sometimes it won't. It also depends on compaction. If we got a really compacted area, it's going to hold water. That's why during the game you probably saw me out there poking holes.
Yeah.
Because that's a very compacted area. So it'll hold water. So if I poke holes, it allows it to go back down through.
That's just, and I got to be honest with you, again, have no idea half the terms you're using. And nobody out there listening has any idea what it actually takes to make City Park look what it looks like, regardless of everywhere else that y'all make ready for game day. And we have some of the most pristine venues I've ever seen on the high school level. But specifically this year, I go to the Marietta game. We're standing up in the suites. The game's been delayed for an hour and a half at this point. Rain is just pouring down, and we were all absolutely mesmerized at how Bobby Gruen Field would go from literal standing water to when it was time for the boys to come out and nothing was there. Yep. I mean, that's
it's crazy
incredible.
that the drainage system that is underneath City Park is very similar to what we have out on the turf fields, to where when the water gets through there and it's gone, which helps out wonderful. And I know Brandon appreciates this as much as I do. I love it when an opposing team gets off the bus and the kid's like, oh, just another turf field. And then they walk out there and they touch, oh, no, this is grass.
Yeah, and that happens a lot.
It happens. It happens
every game.
Every game.
Yeah.
Soccer, football, it doesn't matter.
How much pride do you guys take in that?
Oh, I love it. And that's why I try to teach my guys. They need to take pride in stuff like that. It should make you feel better. Just seeing that or just hearing that. It should make you feel awesome knowing that you did that.
Right. That was what they're walking onto was man-made instead of manufactured. That's incredible.
Absolutely. And I think I get the question all the time, like, will y'all ever turf, Bobby Gruen Field? Absolutely not. Like, that would never be a topic of conversation. Personally, just from my standpoint, I believe high school sports was meant to be played on grass. But there are sometimes applications where, like turf field for our practice field, it gets beat up all the time, has to happen. We are fortunate enough to have a crew like Brandon and his crew that can take care of that Bobby Gruen Field, and that's why it looks immaculate. And I think that's how it should be.
So, obviously, Bobby Gruen City Park takes up a lot of y'all's time, and the way that it looks is reflective of that. So, kudos to you. Great job. Yeah. But let's talk about the other venues, the planning process for those. Like, how do you compartmentalize? Are y'all getting prepared right now for baseball season, or is that still a push?
Oh yes, man. We started baseball. I started preparing for baseball back in September. My seed date. I like to get seed down is by October 1st. I seeded Ivy a week and a half ago. And I have a guy mowing it right now because it's already too long.
Wow.
The weather has been perfect. The seed's growing. I always tell my guys when they start, I'm like, hey, you'll see we go through periods. We'll be at City Park all year for months, just months. And then we'll transition to being at City Park, then to Ivy, like a split.
Right.
And then we'll transition to being at Ivy the whole time. And then we'll go from Ivy full time to splitting back to Ivy, back to City Park, preparing for football. So it's I will say baseball is a lot more work, a lot more field work.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Hey, here's the crazy thing, and this is what always threw me off. Which field is bigger?
It's Bobby Gruen.
No. Baseball fields are bigger than football fields.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Y'all are lying.
But
this is a lie-free podcast.
But the grass is the easiest part, and I think Brandon would agree with that. When you get to baseball, you're talking about infield and edging and all of those kind of things.
Edging is
that gets to
the
be,
way Brandon's rolling his eyes right now. The edging is the absolute worst.
It takes forever to edge that field. We've already edged it once this year, and we'll be edging it again next week on our 2-week little break before playoffs.
What a break you have. Unbelievable stuff.
Well, and what's amazing too is as we talk about these fields in our athletic facilities, and the fans that show up don't realize, y'all have a crew of 4. There's 4 of you guys, and not only are you taking care of the fields, but as you mentioned, you're emptying the trash, you're cleaning the bathrooms, y'all take 100% responsibility for making sure that all of our athletic venues are ready to go for the players, for the fans, for the coaches, and I will always say our coaches are spoiled to death.
I tell them that all the time.
Yeah, well, and that's I always worry about that. Like if you get somebody that's coming from another place, like I'm sure, like Coach Brown at Parkview, he's used to cutting that grass and painting,
lining his own field,
doing all that kind of stuff. You get here for a while, and he's like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. Like it adds more time to your day, which is awesome. That's great that our coaches have that opportunity. But we're just fortunate to have the crews and the support from our Board of Education that allows us to have the crews that do that. So, Brandon, turning back to baseball, one of the things I think people always get confused by, or I've had this question before too, is why do y'all rye? Why do you rye?
Who wants to play on a brown field in the middle of winter?
Amen.
Easiest answer.
Yeah.
Easiest answer. Yeah. And the rye that y'all end up right this time of year, you've already thrown it down at City Park to make sure it's a green field. Typically grass fields in the fall at a lot of high school football stadiums are brown, just like Brandon mentioned. But they've gone ahead and thrown out all this rye down, so Ivy Watson's beautiful come January.
Brandon, you guys do an incredible job. And as someone who, again, I want to be very clear, completely ignorant of both the technicalities of it, but also all of the actual work that goes into making our venues what they are. And fans out there, are you going to be a little more appreciative now that you've heard all of this? And more importantly, are you going to be looking for Win City Park Browns? I'm going to be. Is it going to? Did they do their job correctly? Now we're all going to be experts. Did Brandon do his job correctly?
Did they hit the mark?
Did David and Brandon hit the mark? And is it going to be brown the day after? You're going to have a whole community watching, Brandon. Just so you know. Accountability.
We stay ready.
We stay ready. I love hearing it. Brandon, again, we're so fortunate both to have you on the podcast, that you brought the knowledge to our listeners, to the Red Elephants. But more importantly, we're proud to have you in this community. You do a great job. And I cannot tell you what it does for us Red Elephants, old, young, new, future. To drive by City Park in particular, because Ivy Watson Field is a little far to drive by, but to drive by City Park in particular on those Friday mornings and see y'all's hard work, your dedication, and your commitment to, in your own way, maintaining our standard of excellence. Y'all do a great job.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I have to give a big shout out to my wife because I'm always missing holidays, birthdays, Valentine's Day. With sports, games going on. Baseball's big about that. Our anniversary's about that time, so I have to give her a shout-out because she understands. I'm always away.
Listen, again, we appreciate the commitment. It is reflective on the beautiful venues that we get to watch our Red Elephants stomp up and down. Brandon Eiler, been a pleasure having you on the podcast. Folks, when you see him out at the venues, he's a good-looking guy. He's probably wearing a GHS Turf Team hat. He's got a beard, and he's probably smiling. Now you'll know who it is, and you'll know to go up and shake his hand. Brandon, we appreciate your time today.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Brandon.
Make sure, if you haven't yet, that you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. @Go Red Elephants is the handle. And bookmark our website, GoRedElephants.com, where you can find the latest news and photos from Red Elephant Athletics, plus roster and schedule information. Go Red Elephants on social media, GoRedElephants.com on the web. All the Big Red you can handle right at your fingertips. In the 2 weeks since we've last checked the vibes of the Gainesville football program with head coach Josh Niblett, it's safe to say, and I don't think I'm overstepping when I say, they've gone from we think we can to we know we can. Quiet confidence to, oh yeah, we're still Gainesville, and you're darn right you should hate to see us coming. Beat Milton, check. Maintain our identity against a team we should handily handle at City Park, check. And this week, they hope to check off another thing, as Big Red will play for the third region title in Coach Niblett's 4 years as our head coach when Roswell comes to town. Before we look toward Friday, though, y'all asked for this, Red Elephants out there listening, and you were disappointed we didn't have it for you. I am sorry for that. Needed a little break. But we're going to look back at a different Friday. 2 weeks ago, Coach, I made mention of an indescribable feeling, having it, when we were chatting. A knowing feeling, and you get it whether you're an athlete or coach, you've had it before, you felt it at some point, that no matter what's faced in a game, you're going to win. The feeling is easily identifiable, but happens infrequently, and it can't be manufactured. It's natural. That's kind of the beauty of it. I walked into your team breakfast the morning of the Milton game, and I was hit with it, literally like I ran into a wall. In fact, I came right out of breakfast and was hyped to tell Adam about it. I could smell greatness. I could taste winning. I could also smell some delicious pancakes, but that's beside the point. I look back and realize that the wall I hit was y'all's energy. It was a quiet confidence that no matter what, we weren't going to lose. So now that we're safely removed from the moment, was that the vibe for your team going into Milton?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think our guys had a quiet confidence about, but you know, you earn the right to win on Friday by how you prepare Monday through Thursday. So I thought our kids did a really good job. I thought our staff did a really good job putting a plan together. Our kids believed in it, trusted it, and then went out and executed it. And then I think going to their place and doing it, you know, made it even more special. And then taking their best shot at the end and not flinching and responding, let me know that we have matured, we have grown as a team, have grown as a program, because this is probably one of the biggest games. You know, I mean, as far as like when you're talking about a team that was ranked, you know, nationally in a while, and I mean, it was a good win. It was a huge win, and our kids were excited, and you could just tell everybody, you know, when the game was over with, was like, you know, we did something that we needed to do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a kind of a stepping stone for our program. You know, the elephant in the room, no pun intended, was, you know, just, you know, can they win the big one, you know, and can they win one against somebody maybe everybody doesn't think they're going to win. And so, you know, the last couple of years we've lost to Carrollton and then lost to Milton last year and then got upset and beat, you know, by Roswell and then get beat out in the first round of the playoffs. So then, you know, but I told our kids the other day, I said, you know, the thing is they didn't bury us, they planted us. And so, you know, I think that's something that we're looking at in our program of how we've grown.
I think it's interesting people's perspectives and how short our memory is, because the last time I checked, a program was completely turned around in year one of Josh Niblett's tenure here at Gainesville. And while, no, we did not win, quote unquote, the big one, we certainly didn't get beaten by 40 like everybody thought we were going to in the state title game against Langston Hughes. I want you to go a little deeper into this narrative, misplaced, I think, that, you know, the program, quote unquote, couldn't win the big one. Because I think back to 2022, and, you know, none of the games that those guys played in region championship game, winning the first round of state, second round of state, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, being in the finals, were big games to them because they were games they never thought they'd ever be in. Do you personally feel like there was a monkey on your back, or did you really think, you yourself, forget what the outside noise, did you yourself think there was a monkey on your back?
No, but I felt like I had a sense of urgency that I felt like from a personal standpoint that, you know, we needed to win this game. I mean, I did. I mean, I think this is what we worked for in January, right?
Yeah.
All the way through to win these kind of games. Like, I mean, it's, you know, you work all that time to do what you're trying to build in your program, and then you don't win that game, then what's it saying for you? You know, was all that a waste of time, right? But I told people before, because everybody kept asking me about, this is a big game. Yeah, it is a big game, but understand there were benchmarks that had to be met in the program when I first got here, right? I mean, so every game we played, heck, I mean, South Gwinnett, the Spring Jamboree was a big game.
Yeah.
You know, my first year here. You know, beating North Forsyth after having to come back in the third quarter to win that one, that was a big game because our kids hadn't been in that game yet, right? So it was a big game. I mean, what are we going to do to give ourselves an opportunity to be where we want to be in the playoffs? And then you play Houston County, I mean, in the playoffs. I mean, like, nobody gave us a chance in that one. That was a big game. You go on the road to Roswell in a neutral site, you know, and you end up that ball game coming down to the last seconds. And then, you know, you lose in the state championship game, but, I mean, if not for 58 seconds, it's probably a different ending, you know? And then the next year we won big games because now we're expected to win.
Yeah.
So now they're big games because you better beat them, and they're big games because we're in them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I tell people all the time is when I first got here, maybe nobody thought that, like, but we were going to change that narrative because that was the narrative. Now we had to get it back to that narrative that it's a big game because we're playing in it. I think what happens is I think there's a deal called reasonable expectations that we talk about in our program. Reasonable expectations may not be what everybody else has, right? But in our program is how are we trying to get better and then take everything to another elevation, right? And so I thought for this team, you know, winning a Milton game was what this program, because there was big games leading up to this point.
Right.
For this team, this was the big game.
These kids needed to win it.
And then next year, what's the big game going to be?
Right. I got you.
And then in the program, what's the big game going to be? Because I still think we got more big games this year. Matter of fact, this week is a huge game. Because the Milton game doesn't mean anything. It may mean a lot to people outside the program that we beat Milton, but then we wanted to win that game to set ourselves up to earn the right to win this game.
Absolutely.
But that was never, I hope anybody didn't take that the wrong way. That was never shot that there was never big games in this program. I just felt a sense of urgency this year that if we want to be the program that continues to have reasonable expectations where we keep climbing, then you got to win these games during the year.
Right.
And this was one of those games that we needed to win.
Well, I think that's the big thing. Winning the big game is always winning the next big game. As you mentioned, there's tons of big games we've played, and we've won some, we've lost some, but it's always about winning the next big game. And while Milton was a big game at the time, and it was important that we win it, it was important that we win it to set us up for our next goal.
But too, Adam, I think it was the moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was got to win that moment. Like, it's not really the game, it was that moment, right? I mean, because there were so many variables that went into that game. Like the year before, they're defending state champions.
Yeah.
They've won, 42 straight region games, 7 straight region titles. So there was a lot that was kind of in that moment for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people took a lot of pride in that,
Absolutely.
Just like the 22 team. There was a lot of variables in that. And we ended up changing the whole narrative that year and that group will always go down historically for me as being the group that allowed this group to know that they can go play for one. They can go win one. They can win big games because that group was the group that set the tone for it.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about 2 things from the past before we move into the present. And that, of course, is Friday night, Roswell coming to City Park, playing for the Region 7-5A title. Again, coach's third in 4 years that we're playing for, and hopefully that we win. The first thing is 3 entities stood out. Well, a lot of entities stood out in the Milton game, but 3 that I kind of want to talk about. One being the offensive line and what they were able, how they were able to protect Kareem, and then moving forward, how they've been able to get PJ Lewis and Nigel Newkirk specifically, to have some incredible running games. Talk a little bit about your offensive line, their progression, and how they particularly handled themselves against Milton.
Well, I mean, it stems too from Coach Honeycutt. I mean, there's a different just edge about that group, right? I mean, whoever he coaches, they're going to have an edge about them, and our guys have an edge about them. This group is a talented group as far as size goes. And then we've continuously figured out schematically, what are our strengths, what are our deficiencies. But as far as being physical and then getting and coming off the football, I mean, you look at a Milton defense, 2 weeks ago that they don't give up many rushing yards, and I think we ended up rushing for 258 in that game. I think we've averaged over 200 yards rushing a game. When you're able to do that and win the run totals, I mean, you're going to win a lot of games. But I'm proud of those guys. I'm proud of them and the tight ends because our tight ends are a big deal of what we do in our offense. And, for them to give us the protection we need to be able to throw the ball when we want to, no matter what kind of pressures you're bringing. But then also to control the line of scrimmage. When you can surge the line of scrimmage, then it gives those running backs opportunities for big explosive plays.
We've got some great individual talent on the team. We know this. Nigel Newkirk looks like what a running back that plays at the highest level should look like. Getting off the bus, he looks like a Derrick Henry in the future. And now he's starting to play like that.
Yep.
Talk about his progression.
Well, I mean, I got to talk about both of them too, him and PJ, just because I think it's a 1-2 punch.
Absolutely.
I mean, because because you've been here since I've been here, we've struggled to have just 2 backs that could equally play in the game. And we've got 2 guys, and one of them's a junior and one of them's a sophomore. And I mean, one of them's thunder and one of them's lightning.
Yeah.
And they love each other. They care for each other. I mean, I couldn't think of 2 guys more tighter. They're proud for each other. This past week, it was if Nigel could have gave 3 yards, he had 103.
Yeah.
If he could have gave 3 yards to PJ, who had 97, then we would have had 2, and he would have gave it to him.
100%, yeah.
But yeah, Nigel is just, I think the greatest thing for him is he's continued to develop into a 3-down back. Being able to run the ball on first down, not just being a guy that wants to run outside, but being able to run in between the tackles, understanding when it's 3rd and short, I got to fall forward, run after contact. I mean, I think in the Milton game, I think he had 89 yards after contact. But just being able to catch the ball out of the backfield too. I mean, he's so athletic as far as having good ball skills. And then, PJ's the guy also, PJ's done a really, really good job. He's got great ball skills also, but he's kind of one of those hammers. You know, he's kind of got things going in the Milton game with the middle screen that he broke about 4 or 5 tackles. And those guys just do a really good job of complimenting each other, and it helps Kareem just because we have a run game. And now people got to fill the box and then play man coverage on the outside.
Y'all know out there in listening land, I'm always dialed into how one teammate reacts to the other, how the team reacts to a big moment. And there's nothing better than seeing Nigel be the first person off the sideline when PJ scores, PJ being the first person off the sideline when Nigel scores. You know, they are the perfect tandem, and it makes you yearn for if we'd had that in 2022 behind Naeem, if we'd had that in 2023 behind Gavin, you know, the what could have been. Regardless, the last thing with Milton, Kareem not doing too much, letting the game come to him, has been impressive to see, was really impressive because of the moment. You know, his maturity it has just been astounding. Not surprising if you know the young man, but absolutely astounding. And I think it showed, and it, not on the stat sheet, folks, but it showed no more so than at Milton. He was special.
And he's running the offense. I mean, he is. I mean, and the thing is like we're so blessed right now in the run game. But there's going to be a night where he's going to have to, early in the year, I mean, we're throwing for 300, 250. Right now we're throwing for about 160, 170, but then we're also rushing for, 255 to almost 300 yards. And it's just kind of the way it's presented itself, right, in the game. I don't try to force that. And I tell him don't force it. Within our run game, we have run-it runs where we know we're handling it. And then there's some games where we have run-it runs where there's a run solution built into it. There's nights where we take it and it adds 100 yards to our throwing. And there's some nights where we don't take it because it's not there, and it adds 100 yards to our run game. And then within the passing game, I just think he's done a really good job of taking care of the football. We ask a lot out of our quarterback. He's got to set the protection. But he's also got to get everybody shifted in motion, understanding what coverages we're getting. And then, go through his reads.
Yes.
And so there's a lot that goes on between the ears that he has to do a good job, and Nib does a really good job with him. And I think that's the key is we told him this week, like, look, I mean, first down, hey, we're looking for, free access throws, take them. Second down, same thing. Get us in third and manageable. And look, third down, if you got to put your cape on, put your cape on.
Yeah.
But you don't have to put your cape on first down, right? Just let's let it come to us. And then when something presents itself in third down, we got to go make a play, I
told Adam after the Chattahoochee game, the most impressive thing about that game was literally watching his head on a swivel going through his progressions and finding the right play to make. And then, of course, making it. But really, it's the ability to find that right play to make and not just make a rash decision. Well, the best throw
the other night, I tell people all the time, he had one where he came all the way back across the field, and I want to say he threw it to Legend maybe. But we threw a sail route, like an out route to Phillip. And, you don't see a guy throw a ball from the other hash over a defender and hit the guy in stride like that. I mean, he's very, very talented, very, very gifted arm, can make every throw. And I think he's understood when he needs to use that and then when he just needs to facilitate and then just put us in a good play. Because one thing we say in the quarterback room, you don't go broke making a profit, right? And so what does that look like? Well, every week it's going to look a little bit different, And so, but he's done a really good job of that. I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of his leadership.
All right, last thing about Milton, and then we're going to let Adam talk, maybe.
I didn't know.
So, off air, as it were. We like to take you folks out there listening behind the G. That's the whole premise of this. Show you what goes on behind the scenes here, but also show you what it took to make Gainesville what it is in the first place. So you mentioned the story behind you all wearing all white uniforms in the Milton game, and listen, it gives me chills right now. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I want you to share it with those out there listening. What's the story behind the all white?
Well, I'm a spiritual guy. To God be the glory, right? But, I mean, I'm at church on that Sunday before we played Milton, and I've kind of got a thought of, what I think we might wear or whatever. And then at the end, our pastor, Ben, says, I want you to understand, because in our deal right now, we're talking about the unseen world. So we're talking about spiritual warfare, right? And he said, you know why all God's people will wear white when the war ends? In the end, the spiritual war happens because they've already won. It's not about winning. It's about how much are they going to win by. And oh my gosh, it was like
light bulbs.
The Lord. I was just like, hey. So as soon as we're done, I see Dr. Williams in the lobby. I said, hey, babe, we'll be in all white, And then I walk out. I go straight to my truck. I call Taurus and I call Alex. I said, hey, we're in all white with white accessories. Only thing black we're gonna have on is shoes.
I love
it. And I told our kids that before we came on the field. That was the last thing I told them, and it was like it almost gave them like a, all right. Mm-hmm. That's what we need to hear.
And the other part of that was Milton was in all black because they were going to a funeral.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
he won't speak on that, but yeah, you're right.
So, Coach, I told you.
Oh wait, you can talk now.
Oh,
okay, go ahead.
Do I need a 3, 2, 1?
No. Just my permission.
Gotcha. So, Coach, last week, and I'll finish up Milton on this one. Last week, I told you I was going to ask you this week, and I asked you last week, what does that win, what does playing that game mean to the state of your program, where you're going forward? So I want to finish that up and follow up again. So now that game has happened, you've won. You've actually picked up another win since then too. But what did that win mean to the current state of your program and moving forward?
Well, let's just say from a state perspective, right? I mean, like this region is one of the toughest regions in the state.
Real quickly, because Dr. Williams sent me this stat earlier. Right now in the state, there are 2 regions that make up the 6 of the top 7 teams in the state. That's us and the Thomas County Central, Houston County region.
And so I think we knew the last classification.
Yeah.
Like we went into this region, I'm sure there were some people like, oh my God, because the bottom line is when you look at Class 5A, not only did you have the Class 7A from the year before come down, all right, but you had the Class 5A that's still in there, and the Class 4A, which was coffee, that went up to 5A. Then you get in our region, and you got Milton, and you got Roswell, you got Lanier, you got other teams. Then you got Seconder, who their staff does a heck of a job, and they run such a different offense that if you're not ready to go from week in, week out,
gives them the opportunity to be in there in the fourth quarter.
In this region, for us, I think it was more for our psyche than it was anything. Like, we want to win the region, right? And I told the kids, like, if that's your goal now, understand what that's got to look like, right? I mean, and so we said we want to win the opener. We've done that, right? I mean, every Monday I come in, there's that win the opener. There's a check in that box, and there's a box that's got the region title on there. They said they want to win a region championship. I said, look, man, before you were 6 games away. Now you're 1 game away. I mean, this is it. You want to put a check in it, and then the last box is, hey, win the last game, And so that's why it was big, where it put us for this week. But I think it also put us to a point where I think we earned some respect too.
Absolutely.
To where, hey, and then, I talk about, look, I don't mind saying this because I promote all our programs, but then our Futures beat Buford last week. They were undefeated.
Huge.
And so I can't say enough about that. I can't say enough about our Stampede, and what they've done. And I think they're going to have 4 to 5 teams get to the playoffs this year. We had 1 last year.
Wow.
So we're growing and we're improving. I just think there's certain benchmarks that you have to make sure you're making, and you have to keep up with them, right? I mean, I just think that's a given. I mean, the reasonable expectation is we got to improve every year in what we're doing in the program. And I think this was just another step in that direction.
So now, as we turn our eyes to, we're all focusing on Roswell now and the big game this week. What do you, when you look at Roswell, what do you see? What do we have to do?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to scare you, all right? But, I mean, they're probably the best offense we've seen all year. I'll put Carrollton with it, too. Because I don't think it's as much like it's what they do. Their quarterback, Trey Smith's extremely talented. I mean, we saw him last year, right? I mean, he's as much extremely talented as a runner, but got an extremely strong arm. They got receivers on the perimeter that can go get it and make plays. They're big up front. And, they got a really good running back that understands what they're doing, and they play with extremely fast tempo. So they try to get you misaligned, right? I mean, they try to keep the ball on their sideline so you can't sub it out, so you're tired by the end of the drive. And so they try to keep you frustrated. And they do the same thing defensively. They're not very big defensively. I mean, when you look at them, they got some longer guys. But as far as like D-line being big and thick, nope. They got a nose that's good size, but one of the brothers is back at Mike linebacker. Mm-hmm. You know, they're 3-3 stack, but they're probably going to blitz about 60% of the time. They create a lot of havoc plays, a lot of tackle for losses, a lot of sacks, turnovers. So, you know, there's a lot that goes into preparing for them. And if you're not careful, you'll concern your whole week about them instead of about you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the week, at the end of the day, when Friday rolls around, it's going to be us. Like, how good do we play? Special teams wise, their kicker's going to kick it in the end zone every time. I mean, you're going to start from the 20. But you know, I think we could steal possession. And I think we can win the hidden yardage. We just got to do a really good job of playing sound and play clean.
So outside of the trenches, because we know that, you know, how important both lines are concerned, what matchup do you look at and say this is one we have to win?
Well, defensively, I think it's how they kind of change up from where they're going from cover 1 to cover 3 to just cover 0, right? So when you get those matchups, and whether you get a one-on-one and you know it's a one-on-one, you got to win it, you know, no matter what you're doing in the run game that's going along with it, or whether you're doing it in the passing game. But when you get those one-on-one matchups, I mean, you got to win them. And I think we got to do a really good job on the perimeter, keeping the ball in front. They'll work the seams on you. They'll work a lot of foolers because they throw a lot of, you know, quick screens to the boundary. So they'll come back 2 or 3 plays later and they'll pump it and try to hit one deep on you. And they've been successful with it. I mean, you go back and watch the Buford game. I mean, anybody can say whatever they want to say, but they probably, I mean, they don't throw a pick 6 and 2 other picks. Yeah, they may have a chance to beat Buford in the end, but they're down 21-0. Yeah, and then they scored 21 unanswered. I mean, on Buford, like Buford wasn't even out there.
Yeah, they got themselves into a bad place early in that one.
Yep. And then Buford kind of poured it on in the second half. And then once that kind of happened, they decided in the fourth quarter that they weren't going to play their starters anymore. And that's kind of what happened.
Roswell's another one of those teams like you and I have talked about before. They always have decent-looking linemen.
Yeah.
They've always got good.
Well, they play hard. And then the other guys are just they got some talented athletes. They got some really good football players, right? They just love to play the game, and they play the game with a little moxie. I mean, they got an edge about them, you know. But that's the thing about it. The last 2 times we've played Roswell has come down to the last play of the game.
Yeah,
I mean, so
huge,
you know,
huge. Just connecting 2 segments. I can't remember if I told you or not, but we also have Brandon Eiler.
Yep.
When you're talking about our turf team, how important it is for you that we're playing this game at home, yeah. and that winning this game secures us at least 2 rounds at home.
Yep. Well, I mean, look. First of all, I don't know if it bothers anybody that you hadn't been on grass all year. I don't know. You know, I don't. But I know that. Mentally, we see that as a plus, yeah. Right, for us, because that's our home field number 1, you know. And if we'll pack it out, and people show up, yeah. You know, then that'll be even better. But I think you're being on turf, and then all of a sudden you got to come play on grass, and I mean it's a whole different environment at our place. And so that should help you early. I don't know how much it helps you late,
yeah.
But that's got to be in a shot in the arm early, because what they want to do is they want to. I call it boat race you. They want to boat race you early. Like they want to jump out on you early and then just kind of get you out of what you do. So we got to make sure early that we could take on that storm that they're going to bring on, whatever it may be from a schematic standpoint. And we do that and get into just the ebb and flow of the game, then we'll be fine.
Consistency is a key to success. I'm talking to 2 men who that's a no-brainer for. When you look back at this season, anyone who has and nerds out at stats like I do, there are a lot of consistencies to be seen. One is the layman could figure this one out. We've played at home a lot. It's consistent.
Yep.
Kareem in every game has passed for 120 yards or better. PJ and Nigel have scored in every game. But maybe the most important thing is that in every game, our defense has gotten a turnover. In 5 or more games, they've gotten multiple turnovers. Consistency is the key to success. It also breeds confidence. How confident are you that we're going to be consistently who we've been on Friday night?
Yeah, I'm very confident in that because that's the day-to-day, right? It's all about stacking days. And we talk about it. I mean, so it's in our guys' minds, right? I mean, our motto this week's chasing best, right? So normally I save chasing best for the playoffs, but we're in playoff mode now. And then the BE in best means be your best, right? But we broke it down into 3 words. The first one was remember. Like remember like the pain that you had when we didn't play up to our, but also remember the joy that you had when we did play well. But then remember what it takes day in and day out to put in a good day's work to be ready to play on Friday, and then we talked about believe, like that to me is huge. Like we got to believe in what we're doing, not hope in what we're doing. And if we believe in what we're doing, then, we'll continuously be, committed to kind of who we are. And then what we try to do. But yeah, I think consistency is huge. We talk about that day in and day out in our program. It's about showing up every day with a great attitude, ready to work, even if you don't feel good. And the greatest thing about consistency, circumstances and conditions should never dictate how consistent you are.
Yep.
And it's all about your heart. And we talked about that yesterday too. Like, where's your heart every day? Like, our heart's got to be in it this week. And we got to play with our heart. And if we do that, we'll be consistent in what we're doing.
If your heart can be in it against Chattahoochee, and this is no offense to Chattahoochee, but it would be any opponent coming off a high, hyped up game like Milton, and then going into a want against anybody, not Chattahoochee, anybody. For y'all to maintain so incredibly well, it just bodes well, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I'm kind of a psychologist sometimes too. So, because everybody's like, so when we got done with Milton, we're playing the Milton, I'm interviewing with a reporter, and he's like, I mean, we're just fresh off. I mean, we just got through breaking it down, right there on the field. He's like, well, how do you keep from a letdown? I was like, look, man, I'm not worried about a letdown.
Right.
Like, these guys know what's in front of them. Like, if you want to let down, that means you didn't want to win it anyway. Mm-hmm. And this isn't the one that we just wanted to win. Like, there's another one we're wanting to win.
Yeah.
So, like last week, our guys knew, because I told them, I was like, look, if you want to win a region championship, then you better win this week. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I said, do you want to know how big of a game it is? I said, lose it, and then you'll see how big it is. Yeah. And so our guys have always kept that in the back of their mind and remembered that part of it. And then just showing up, trying to compete every day. And we're going to coach hard. We're going to love them harder. But we're going to make sure, like I said, there's those benchmarks every week that we're trying to get to, and we can't avoid those.
Friday. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, stupid question, and I feel like I have to preface that. Kids ready for this week?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing is, we still got work to put in. But yeah, I mean, our kids are excited about the week. I mean, look, it's Tuesday. They're still learning what's going on. Tomorrow it'll look even better. They'll start kind of feeling the game. Thursday will get here. We'll get a little lift in. We'll get our walk through and run through in. And all of a sudden they'll start getting a little bit more jittery. And then Friday comes around. They get to put their Friday gear on and come to school. And I mean, yeah. And I think they're about to just understand. Like, I think the atmosphere is going to give our guys a shot in the arm.
Absolutely.
And when you can go on the road and win at a place like Milton, but now you get to come home and finish it and win a title in your place, I mean, hey man, just give everything you got, right? I mean, just give everything you got.
I just have to tell you, like our kids, at least in my perception right now, that there's a quiet excitement, but it's overpowered by focus. I think our kids are focused and they know the task at hand, and they're looking forward. I mean, this is that time of year, and we talk about this all the time, where Friday night ends, and you can't do anything but look forward to the next Friday night. And I think that's the hardest thing. And I think the way we've changed the schedule a little bit, the way I kind of changed it this year to where we're giving them Sunday off so they're able to get an extra day of rest and recovery. We're kind of doing a run through. So we put one game to bed, wake the other one up, get it ready to go in the afternoon. So that way we come out and practice this morning. We'll come back this afternoon and watch film, correct those. Then we'll practice tomorrow, and they won't have anything in the afternoon. And we'll watch Wednesday's film on Thursday morning before we go out to the run through. I just think it's been better because I think we're fresher. I think because
I don't talk about it from a physical standpoint. What you got to be careful of when you get to game 9, 10 is the mental exhaustion. And so, but I think our guys I like where we're at right now. We're healthy. And so that's the big thing.
Absolutely.
And I think we're playing at a good level right now, and we're playing with some consistency. We just got to play really good early. We play really good early, then I feel good about where we're going to be Friday.
Friday night, City Park, beautiful Bobby Gruen Field, will be the host of the Region 7 5A championship game between Roswell and our Gainesville Red Elephants. It's letter jacket night too, folks. We want to honor our tradition while supporting those building on the great legacy here at Gainesville High School. So make sure that you dust off those letter jackets. Doesn't have to be yours. It can be one that's been handed down. It can be a spouse's. It can be a friend's. But come out, support our guys. Wear your letter jacket. Show them the pride you have in the school in which they're representing, for the school in which they're representing. And as we do every week when we have the vibe check, Coach, implore our Red Elephants.
Yeah, I need everybody to be here, period. And I'm not going to try to talk you into it. But these kids this program deserves, this school community deserves for everybody to be there. You know, when Roswell comes over here, it needs to be loud, not just on third down, but it needs to be loud. It needs to be a whole different element, than what they've seen before. And then there's a lot of pride in our place here. So let's show that, all right? And let's be proud of what we have. But I wish everybody the best of the week and look forward to seeing you on Friday. And God bless you and go Big Red.